A game full of bangers ends 2-2 as Bayern Munich and Freiburg split points in the southwest of Germany. Let's hear from Thomas Tuchel, the disappointed manager, after the match.
How would you sum up the game today?
Terrible half an hour from us. Okay, 10-15 minutes in the first half, not more than okay. Second half, a good half, with big chances, good spirit, much better discipline, much better quality in our match overall, and we could have won deserved, but we did not defend the throw-in, the set piece, how it is needed to escape with a win. So we have to live with 1 point. Overall, we can say it was not enough in the first half to fully deserve the victory.
Just finally, what do you take from this game into the Lazio one now? The season defining, it seems.
Yeah, kind of, but well, we have to decide if we focus on the first half an hour in our meeting or we focus on the last 60 minutes, and then we need to decide which is our phase. But if we are honest, both is our phase in too many matches of the season. We show both our faces too often, and it's hard for us to keep going, obviously. And yeah, but still we will analyze it. We will now not lose our head, and we will push the team against Lazio.
Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thomas Tuchel, of course, now knows he's on his way out this summer. Bayern Munich, with a chance to reel Leverkusen just a little bit closer, they miss out. The gap stands at 7. Leverkusen will be in action on Sunday with a chance to push the lead atop the table to 10. For more on this, we welcome into the show our good friend and colleague, Don Hutchison. Don, we'll get to you in just a second. Ale, you and I were on the coverage of this game. I mean, is it almost fair to say Bayern were lucky just to get a draw here?
Well, they were lucky certainly in the first half because, honestly, Freiburg created opportunities. They forced turnovers, went in transition, went on the counter, had multiple opportunities to score goals. They did not. Manuel Neuer came up with a couple of saves. But regardless, when you look at Bayern Munich in those first 30 minutes, one may suggest, well, where did this come from? I can tell you, having followed this team all season long, yeah, you see this from Bayern Munich all the time. Sometimes for 30 minutes, sometimes for a half, sometimes for 20 minutes, but you see it all the time that this is a team that tends to be passive, that settles on the sideways and backwards and sideways and backwards and invites pressure, turns the ball over in bad areas, struggle with transition defensively. They're too slow in those transitions defensively. That's why they get exposed. That's why they have so many frailties defensively. They're allowing goals, and then you would have to say, well, but do they have enough talent to go and create chances themselves? They do when they decide to play the ball forward. And the difference in the second half between the Bayern that we saw in the first half and the second half is very simple. You see Bayern Munich actually playing the ball forward, allowing Jamal Musiala to get on the turn. When he gets on the turn, then he creates all sorts of problems for other teams because now he's going to attract attention. And if he attracts attention, then that opens up the space for a little diagonal movement from Harry Kane. And he becomes far more effective and efficient because he's attacking the goal, which is exactly what you want Harry Kane to be doing. He had a couple of chances today, did not put him away. They allow Freiburg to hang around long enough for Freiburg to take advantage of a set piece. No surprise to anybody that Bayern Munich doesn't take care of the details at the end of the game. They don't see it out. They haven't done that over the course of the season. Wasted opportunity. They drop 2 points, and they allow Bayer Leverkusen yet another opportunity to extend the lead.
Game finishes 2-2. Don, you had an eye on this match. You also heard the comments there from Thomas Tuchel post-match. What do you make of the performance from Bayern, and what do you make of what the manager had to say?
No, performance wasn't good enough. I mean, 7 games without a clean sheet. Bayern just don't do clean sheets. I think Ali's nailed it. The way you watch them, they look fragile. There's no patterns of play. They rely on moments in the game. Harry Kane had a couple of chances where different day, different story. He took them away, but they were never really comfortable in the game. My biggest takeaway from the whole game wasn't really what happened on the pitch. It was a good game of football to watch, 4 really good goals. I felt really uncomfortable watching the scenes at 2-1. His substitutions weren't great, by the way, when he took Muller off and took Musiala off when they're winning 2-1 for defensive solutions. So trying to hang on to a game, that's not the Bayern way. I understand it because they're fragile, but not great. But my biggest takeaway from the game was watching Thomas Tuchel laughing and joking with Thomas Muller at 2-1 when the game is in the balance with about 10, 15 minutes to go. Then even worse at the end of the game when the game finished 2-2. I think it might have been the Freiburg staff. I couldn't be sort of for sure, but it looked like Freiburg staff. Thomas Tuchel was hugging them. He was laughing. He was joking. That's a manager that's just drawn a 2-2 game and is not going to win the title this year for the first time in about 11 years. It's ridiculous. So I just wonder, if I found that an uncomfortable watch, I wonder what the hierarchy think, and I wonder if it's time to relieve him of his duties, because this can't carry on.
Ale, what do you think? I mean, is there a case to be made to get rid of Tuchel now? You still got second leg of the Champions League against Lazio. There's still something there for Bayern.
There is something there for Bayern, but there is nothing there for Thomas Tuchel. And we mentioned in the coverage of this game that it has to be very odd for a player to walk into a locker room knowing full well that the manager who's about to walk into that locker room is a dead man walking. He's no longer making decisions that affect your future, that impact your present and affect your future. And if that's not the guy, then it becomes very difficult to have a connection with the manager, a connection that carries you through difficult moments in a game. Thomas Tuchel, quite frankly, given what we have seen from him in the post-game interviews with Archie Todd, and going back to last weekend as well, in which he was essentially saying, look, this is no longer my problem, so I don't worry so much. If you have a manager that is saying that, and you have players that come into the locker room knowing full well that this is not going to be the manager for the future, when a game is on the balance, that's when this sort of things show up. When a game is right there to be won or to be lost, that's when this sort of things show up. Because when you need that little extra, when you need that push, is this team giving you that extra push? I don't quite see it. And I haven't seen it, to be fair, I haven't seen it over the course of the season at all from Bayern Munich. So much less now than when you know that the teacher is not going to be the teacher. Dead man walking is not a manager. It's not an effective manager. It just simply doesn't work that way. Don knows this very well. If you know that guy is gone, yeah, he no longer holds the authority that he once did.
And he's speaking differently
Absolutely.
as well. We talked about it in the post-match press conference. There's a transparency. I wonder, it also felt almost like shots fired at the team when he's saying, well, we got to decide how we're going to approach the first 30 minutes. We got to decide which face is going to turn up. I mean, isn't that directed at his guys?
Well, I think what he's saying is that this is not new. We've been trying the whole season, basically. Me, my coaching staff, we put together the training sessions, we put together the videos, we focus on the first part where you weren't so good, we focus on the second part where you were good. We show you both, and it doesn't make a difference because next time we show up and do exactly the same thing. So yeah, in some ways it's an admission of, we tried it, we see it on the training ground, and then all of a sudden a different team shows up on the field when it counts, when it matters. If you have that disconnect, he's essentially saying, we're going to do the best we can, but it's these guys that got to be motivated to pull themselves out of a bad situation. It's not happening in Bundesliga. This is over. As it pertains to Champions League, they should be able to get past Lazio. However, this is Bayern Munich. The current version of Bayern Munich that we're talking about, this team is capable of losing to anybody.
When I sacked Jose Mourinho, put Daniel De Rossi, and the performances and results went through the roof straight away. So it might be Hansi Flick in short term. It might be someone within the club, but something needs to happen. Otherwise, they're just going to be really stale. And this is not a slight. I'm not having a go at Thomas Tuchel. I'm having a go at the scenario. If Thomas Tuchel is relieved of his duties, I would give Bayern more of a chance than going through against Lazio. If he is still in charge, like Ali said about the dressing room and how the players react and their responsibilities, it's not easy. So you bring the game, even though Lazio have got a 1-0 lead, into a sort of 50-50 game where anything can happen. And I wouldn't rely on Bayern. They don't do clean sheets. They just don't do them. They're just so fragile at the back. They're so loose in possession. So I just try to put myself in a player's point of view. If there was an immediate change going into the Lazio game, there would be then a response from the players inside the locker room.
I mean, it's really hard, Ale, to believe that this team, staying the same, is going to get it done against Lazio, even with all of Lazio's struggles, right?
Well, it's hard to believe, yes, because if you watch Bayern Munich play, you know that they are vulnerable. You know that their midfield has been an issue. You know that offensively, while they seem to have on paper a whole lot of talent, it really has been Harry Kane scoring late goals to bail you out of games that potentially you didn't deserve to win. You know that defensively there are issues, and it's not just Dayo Upamecano, who admittedly has had issues and won't be available in the second leg because, well, he got himself thrown out in back-to-back games. He hasn't been great. But overall, across that back line, nobody has been great. There's nobody that you can highlight and say, now, see, this guy has been good. So when you're having problems in every single line, in every single facet of the game, yeah, it's hard to make an argument for Bayern Munich. And I can only make the argument that the talent on the field, at least on paper, should be better than Lazio.
Should have been better than Freiburg.
Oh,
right?
Seb, I am not defending Bayern Munich. I don't know if you're trying to pose it as if I'm defending Bayern Munich. I am not. I'm picking Bayern Munich because I think they have more individual game winners than Lazio does. Jamal Musiala sort of moment, a Harry Kane sort of moment. Assuming that Leroy Sané plays and is interested in playing, he can have a moment. That's all I'm banking on here. On a moment of brilliance from an individual player, because this is not a concept of a team that we're seeing